some hot dogs, marshmallows on them. We're cooking.
We got some bones to pick with one man in particular. Second man, kind of, but
no, second man's okay.
Yeah,
he can slide.
All right, prospect ranking. So I think it's pretty much done. Like I think we got all the big outlets got their stuff out, and just real quick, MLB.com's got three Rockies in: Yankees 72, Dollander at 52, and Amador at 28. Baseball America has their guys: Yankees at 92, Beck at 81, Dollander at 61, and Amador at 36. ESPN, it's just one guy, I forget his name, but
Kylie McDaniel, yeah.
Kylie McDaniel. Dollander 93, Amador 33. And then Keith Law of The Athletic. Yankee 82, Dollander 75, Sterling Thompson at 70.
And nobody else.
Nobody else. And of course, we bantered. We quote tweeted it, and like, I'm still sticking by this. I don't believe his breakdown, but he's going to be, if he doesn't listen, he's not going to listen.
He'll name search himself and he'll look at all the quotes and stuff, but this would be crazy.
We'll see if Mike cuts this or not. Mike, don't cut this. We don't need to do
please
that.
Don't,
We're just going to hold the receipts, but he doesn't have Adel Amador, and for his reasons was he talked to scouts and they're not as high on him as other players in the system. And I know you got some things loaded up. My take on this, and hopefully I don't steal your thunder, is how does the scouts that you talk to take him out of your 100, but all the scouts, the other prospect ranking guys talk to and see and engage, like the MLB.com guys they're all up in it all the time. And like, I know that because they're on the pods, they're writing all the time, they're doing their thing. Yeah, they're not being talked out of Amador in the top 30. And even McDaniel's guy, who had just a few players on there, right? Amador and Dollander, he even said in his write-up that there's a pretty big drop-off from 40, 50, like the top 40 or 50 are all pretty close, and there's a pretty big drop-off of the bottom 50. So like he even has Amador as a top dog in the whole minor league system. But yet people that Keith are talking to, which whatever, are talking him out of it. That blows my mind. I don't get it. I think it's an attention grab. I don't agree with it. I don't like his opinion on it. And he might be mad at me for having an opinion on his opinion. I just don't see a world where the people you talk to, the same people everybody else is talking to, talk you out of it. I don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, and something just to throw a little bit more fuel in the fire there. MLB Pipeline, they polled a bunch of executives in the offseason. That all their articles on that dropped pretty recently. They did a prospect polling. Who was the most underrated prospect? And Amador wasn't like in the top vote getters, but Amador received votes. And I just want to think that in this process, the guys are not voting for their own players. I just think that's probably a taboo. You're being asked, who do you think's the most underrated prospect in baseball? Yep. You're probably supposed to give opinions on guys outside your organization. Maybe that's not true, but I'm guessing that is the way that they conduct that. Adel Amador is receiving votes for most underrated prospect in baseball. And he's a guy who at the end of the offseason was already like a top 30 prospect. So, I mean, and I also want to throw this into the equation. Fangraphs, they're not the, pristine source of scouting information because they have one guy mostly doing their scouting stuff. In 2023, at the beginning, I think this was about a year ago now, he was ranked 8th in the entire league prospect-wise. So we have yet another source that is like, this is a really, really good player. And a bit of Keith's kind of reasoning was he doesn't think that there's that much power there, and he's not a power guy, but he also had 10 home runs in 64 games last season. That's like a 25 homer pace.
Injured home runs.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. The hand thing, he still hit one in AA. I don't think he's a 25 homer guy at the big leagues, but Keith Law is saying he's like a 10 to 12 homer guy.
No.
When Amador was 19, he hit 15 home runs in low A, and that was in 115 games. So, yeah, I don't know where to go with that, but it seems like a bit of an overreaction to him getting injured, coming back, not having a great 10 games in AA. And that seems to have really shot his stock down in the eyes of some, or one.
One. Let's say one. Let's call it what it is. Yeah, I don't get it. And he even said in his write-up, like, he's adding mass, he's building up his body, he's still young and can grow. Like, he even wrote that in his blurb about why he's not a power guy and how that's concerning. I don't get it. And it seems like an attention grab. It's like a click thing. To be fair, I didn't look at the rest of the list. I don't know the other prospects that didn't get called out. Maybe you know a little bit more because you're a little bit more in tune with that. I'm pretty tunnel vision on that stuff. So I don't know who was left off. I don't know who were some of the big dogs, other people that he dogged. I'm not quite sure, like, if this was just a thing. Was it just us? Like, is he just picking on me right now? Like, is he like specifically saying you, Aaron, are wrong? I don't get it.
I mean, there was that second list that he dropped of, like, it was like 10 guys who were close to making his list, and we saw Amador on there. Some of the other ones, the one that really jumped out to me was Mick Abel with the Phillies, and I don't know where he's ended up on some other lists, but he's a guy that I'm like, you can't really justify him not being a top 100 prospect. Like, he's insane. He's one of the best pitching prospects in baseball. Spencer Jones, the second coming of Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
He's not in Keith's top 100. A guy who is literally, 6'6", and he stole how many bases? 43 bases this year at 6'6". And then the final guy that really stood out to me was Carson Wisenhunt with the Giants. Another one he didn't put in his top 100. Where I'm like, dude, it's
Carson
cool
Wisenhunt
to have your own
in his top 100.
Carson Wisenhunt, who
seriously
was one of the best pitching prospects in all of baseball this season. He's a lefty with a pretty good fastball and like an elite changeup.
Yeah, okay.
He had a 1.42 ERA in high A last season. Went to AA, 3.2 ERA in his first year as a pro. So I think that was one where it's like his opinions are cutting against the grain for sure. I will respect his opinion enough and leave it at that. But it doesn't quite click. And it's all. I love Sterling Thompson. I was like, oh yeah, Sterling Thompson in the top 100.
That was really cool, right?
At what cost though? Like, I'm like, how is Sterling Thompson a top 100 prospect? A guy who has not hit for power in the pros, who by some accounts is like a DH. He is like considered a DH by some scouts and prospect analysts, and he's at 70. While Amador is off in the honorable mention.
Yeah. That brought up another thing for me. It's another thing for me to get off my chest. I loved Sterling Thompson. Like, I do think he is that guy, but everything he is, Amador is just a little bit better.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, he's a more well-rounded player. He has a home in the middle infield. You can slot Amador right now at second base if you wanted to. Like, he would be fine. Not really quite sure where you put in Sterling Thompson. The pop, like, Sterling Thompson is a 15 max homer guy, but the fact that he's ahead, he's the same type of player as Amador, but yet he's ahead of Amador. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. So, like what Brian said, it's equivalent to guys dropping Helton on their Hall of Fame ballot. It's just so hard to believe. It's still mind blowing. And like, I used to love reading Keith's stuff. Like, I would go out of my way to find Keith's laws articles everywhere.
Yeah, I have a book that he wrote. That's not in my possession right now, but
now I'm just mad at him. And thank you for responding to me, Keith. I guess Blake Strubander, like, that was cool, but
without being tagged at no less, tagged.
Yeah, he found us and whatever, and it was good stuff. Yeah, a lot of these guys need to be better at looking at prospects. So stupid. And that's his job. So I got to imagine he does have a reason. He does have a system for it. And imagine being one guy that's rating all of the prospects all on your own. Like, huge shout out to the ESPN guy that does it. Like, you're going to miss people. Like, I'm not discounting that.
And that's where you're talking to a lot of people is a huge part of their job. The MLB guys, they've grown to become my favorites just because they're like so funny when you watch their like draft broadcasts and stuff.
They have fun with it.
But like, they are literally on the draft broadcast. They're reading text off their phones about what scouting directors are saying to them. Like, they are making their own opinions, but they're also being fed like all the information and they're just processing it. Like that at the end of the day is what happens. So it's hard to kind of understand what happened there. That he tried to justify it by saying that exact thing, like, well, I talked to all these guys, but Kylie McDaniel included the last tidbit on this. He included in his the ESPN list saying I'm talking to scouts, there is a consensus from everyone I spoke with across the industry that there's a notable and uncharacteristic drop off in the area of the list around 40 to 50, which is why his future value break, it's in that range. It goes from 55 to 50 in that range. And he had Amador at 33. So if he's talking to a lot of industry sources, Amador is still in that upper echelon before this uncharacteristic drop off. So someone is talking to one guy or not, or just like, I don't know. It's not our place to speculate too much, but
something's not adding up. Something's off there. Exactly. Whatever. So that is our rant. And if you come at our guys, we're coming at you. Like, it's not okay.
You got to be rational, buddy. You can make some rational takes. There's stuff we're gonna take. Like, there's been some the Drew Romo, the Zach Veen stuff about having them non-existent on top 100s, even though I still think those are two of the like 6 best prospects in the system. I don't think a lot of people are agreeing with that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Rational. It's rational. There's a sound argument to make. I don't buy it, but there is a sound argument to make. That one, Adel Amador, not a top 100 prospect. I think that goes beyond. Let me have my own opinion. I think it goes far beyond that.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll end it there. And if we feel